good day, adventurers! Today we're going to be talking about another Magic the Gathering Commander deck that I enjoy playing. I just like sharing these little deck ideas to kind of give people other ideas of their own, but at the same time, maybe people want to try one of my ideas or try something similar. I just want to share what I do because I really enjoy Magic the Gathering and I really like my decks. I've made a lot of them and I plan to share as many of them as I can. But for today, we're going to be talking about a deck that I call Butt Buddies. And I call Butt Buddies for a reason, because it is, let's just say the commanders, they're a pair of friends and they got a real big butt, and so together they are Butt Buddies. There's another reason why I call them that, but I'll let you guys try to figure that out. Otherwise, without further ado, I say let's get into it, because my last Commander deck video went pretty long. I'm going to try and make sure that we don't go as long this time, shall we? So let's go ahead, let's make Big Me disappear, Little Me appear, and let's bring up the document. Here we go. This is Butt Buddies. And this is based around the Commander Kynaios and Tiro of Melitus. I butchered that name. That's another reason why I call them Butt Buddies, is because I cannot pronounce that every dang time. But yes, they say they are a 4-color commander, which is very rare. We don't have a lot of them. And they are red, green, white, and blue, all but black, which is another huge deal for me because black is like my most hated color. I'm not a big fan of what black does, followed by blue. I have a love-hate relationship with blue. I hate a lot of stuff that blue does, but I like the stuff that I like about blue is a huge deal. Which is misunderstanding, because the last deck was green-blue, and green was my favorite color, and so yeah. They say at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield. Then each opponent who didn't draws a card. So this is already a friendly hugs kind of deck, and that's essentially what this deck is going to be. It's very hugsy. It's going to try and give the entire board an advantage, so that we speed up the game and we turn it into a chaotic mess. So with that, this deck is very good for ramping. Not only am I drawing cards, but I'm also get to play additional lands. My opponents get to draw cards and play additional lands. So it's speeding up the game entirely. And what I will say is that this deck, when I play it, I'm not always playing to win. Most of the time when I play this deck, if not all the time that I play this deck, I am playing to cause mischief and chaos throughout the entire match. Otherwise, it does have win cons. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. It does. It's got a couple of win cons. Probably literally a couple. There's probably only 2 or 3 win cons in this deck. And so let's get into the artifacts. So I just want to say that this deck, the idea behind this deck is to draw a crud load of cards, to find all my good cards, and one of my win cons is to draw myself out, and another one of my win cons is to swing with an overwhelming army. But I'm still modifying the deck for the swing for the overwhelming army. I have thought about putting in the cards like overwhelming stampede and stuff like that for the overwhelming armies bit, but I don't find myself getting down that path enough for me to want to put more cards in for it. But so far, drawing myself out is the main go-to win con for the deck. So let's start with my artifacts. We'll start at the bottom and work our way to the top. So first off, we have the wedding ring. The wedding ring, let's see here. How do I bring this up? This button? This button. So wedding ring is when the wedding ring enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. When an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. And when an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains life during their turn, you gain that much life. This is a way for me to essentially, I essentially kind of choose somebody to take with me on this extraordinary ride of drawing a lot of cards, gaining a lot of life, and trying to survive. I essentially choose the one person out of the other 3 that's doing the worst, and I give them a better advantage at moving forward. Next, we have Venser's Journal. Venser's Journal is that you have no maximum hand size, which is a huge deal to me. I like having no maximum hand size when I'm drawing a bunch of cards. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in your hand. So again, we're going to be gaining life, we're going to be drawing cards, and we're going to be making dudes. And this is one of the ways that we are going to be gaining life is through Venser's Journal, and also keeping all the cards that we have. Then we have Thought Vessel, which is no maximum hand size. Like I said, I like to have no maximum hand size when I'm drawing a bunch of cards. It's also a mana rock. Then we have Temple Bell, which is each player draws a card when you tap it. Next is Soul Conduit. Soul Conduit is such a fun little card. Soul Conduit is a 6 mana artifact that for 6 mana and tapping it, two target players exchange life totals. This is a great way to completely throw someone over. If someone is like, I've used this a lot when people are hitting me and dropping me down and gaining a bunch of life. I'm essentially switching life totals on them and switching life totals on them back and so on and so forth. Or I'm making other 2 people switch life totals when I feel like someone's getting ganged up on. This is just a fun little artifact that I have for it. And it's a lot of fun to be able to just switch 2 life totals at the table. A lot of fun. Next is Otherworld Atlas. Otherworld Atlas has tap, put a charge counter on Otherworld Atlas, or tap, each player draws a card for each charge counter on Otherworld Atlas. It essentially is a better version of Temple Bell. I can spend a few turns rubbing it up, and then the next few turns I'm drawing a bunch of cards as well as my opponents. Next is Howling Mine. What is a Hugs deck without Howling Mine? At the beginning of each player's draw step, if Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card. Next is Gate to the Aether. Gate to the Aether is an amazing Hugs card that I don't think a lot of people realize or use, and that is that at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player reveals the top card of his or her library. If it is an artifact, creature, enchantment, or land, that player may put it into play. This is a huge deal. This is a lot of fun. This is a great way to get these big pieces. So like a lot of this deck is big expensive artifacts, big expensive creatures, big expensive enchantments, and so it's nice to have a way to kind of cheat these additional cards out and to get as many pieces onto the board as possible, so that way you can run through your deck as fast as you can. Next is Font of Mythos. It is essentially a better version of Howling Mine. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws 2 additional cards. Then we have Folio of Fancies. Players have no maximum hand size, so not only does this give me no maximum hand size, this gives a benefit to the board. And so once again, we're trying to give bonuses to the board for multiple reasons. One, for players to just leave me alone. Because hey, I'm giving you no maximum hand size, hey, I'm drawing you cards, hey, I'm gaining you life, you know, leave me alone. This is a way for me to do that. I can always pay X and X and tap it to have each player draw X cards, which is a great way for me to actually get other players to deck out if they've been drawing a lot of cards as well. But at the same time, then I can also pay 2 and a blue and tap it. Each opponent puts a number of cards equal to the number of cards in their hand from the top of their library into their graveyard, which is another way for me to win, is for me to mill somebody out. If somebody's got a big hand, I can mill them out. And so that I'll admit that win con has appeared maybe once or twice as an option in my entire time of playing this deck. It has not been a huge deal or a huge option available. It's been one that I've done a few times to, if someone's been choosing to take me out of the game early, that I've done on purpose to get somebody a little closer to being out than the others, so that way perhaps maybe the players can find a way to take advantage of it. Next is Druidic Satchel. Druidic Satchel is a fun little card. You may pay 2 and tap it, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, a blocker or a swinger later on. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield, ramp. And if it is a non-creature, non-land card, you gain 2 life. Life is also a huge deal in my games, especially this one. It's nice to gain a little bit of life back. Next is Decanter of Endless Water, no maximum hand size again, and is a mana rock. Next is Coveted Jewel. Coveted Jewel is a pretty big one. Normally, I like to try and make sure I have a lot of bodies on the floor to protect myself, so that way I can keep the Coveted Jewel, but it doesn't hurt me or it doesn't annoy or upset me if I end up losing the Coveted Jewel at any time, because it causes chaos on the field because now everybody wants it. When the coveted jewel enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. I may tap it to add 3 mana of any one color, and whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and aren't blocked, that player draws 3 cards and gains control of coveted jewel, untap it. So yeah, it can cause a bit of chaos at the table. Next is Commander Sphere. It's just a mana rock where I can draw a card just in case I need that extra draw power to win the game. And then next is Alamut's Archive. If you would gain life, you gain twice that amount of life. If you would draw a card except for the first one you draw every turn, you draw twice as many cards. This is a great way for me to drill through my deck a lot faster than everybody else. And it's going to be one of a couple of ways for me to do that. Next is creatures. We got several creatures. We have Yes Man Personal Securitron. Yes Man Personal Securitron is tap, target opponent gains control of Yes Man. When they do, you draw 2 cards and put a quest counter on Yes Man. Activate only during your turn. So this is another way for me to draw cards. And normally when I use Yes Man, I try to make a deal with the person that I'm giving it to that they'll give it back, so that way I draw more cards than everybody else. And I try to get it going around. I try to give it to people that are more behind than others. And then wild card ability. When Yes Man leaves the battlefield, its owner creates a tapped 1/1 white soldier creature token for each quest counter on it. So it gives me bodies for however long it managed to stay around the battlefield. Next is Xyris, the Withering Storm. Xyris, the Withering Storms is one of my ways to make a lot of bodies. He is a 3/5 flyer. Whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. And whenever Xyris of the Withering Storm deals combat damage to a player, you and that player each draw that many cards. So this is a great way for me to make deals with people to get a little bit of damage through, to also get more cards drawn by everybody, and then also to make more snakes. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of cards that's making everybody draw additional cards, so I'm getting a bunch of snakes off of everybody that's drawing on their turns, so I'm making an army of snakes. Next is Windborn Muse. Windborn Muse is in here for one of my deterrents, because not all the time people see a Hugs deck and they end up wanting to take it out immediately because they think of evil, extremely evil Hugs decks, which this is not one of them. Windborn Muse is a 2/3 flyer that creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that is attacking you. Great deterrent to keep people away from you. Next is Veteran Explorer. When Veteran Explorer dies, each player may search their library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. Then each player who searched their library this way shuffles it. This is a great way to incentivize somebody to essentially swing at me and I block, or I swing and they block. We kill the Veteran Explorer and we get a bunch of ramp for the table to speed up the game. Next is Timeless Witness. Timeless Witness, when Timeless Witness enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, and you can eternalize it for 5 and 2 green. This is one of my ways to get my one of my win cons back, which are going to be later on in the. I got a Planeswalker that's a win con, and I've got a creature that's a win con. I essentially got Labman and Jace for drawing myself out, and Timeless Witness is one way to get it back in case someone pops them. Next is the Second Doctor. Again, players have no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of your end step, each player may draw a card. Each opponent who does can't attack you or permanents you control during your next turn. So this is a way for me to get more draw power on the table, for me to make more dudes if I'm doing that. At the same time, this is also a way for me to stay protected, to be deterrent, and hopefully people are taking the draw and leaving me alone. Next is the Locust God. Locust God is a 4/4 flyer. Whenever you draw a card, create a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying and haste. And I may pay 2, a blue and a red, to draw a card and discard a card, and when Locust God dies, return it to the owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a great way for this. He keeps coming back unless he gets exiled, and this is a great way for me to make a bunch of dudes because I'm going to be drawing a bunch of cards from my deck, especially if I have Alamut's Archive out or one of my other double draw cards. I'm going to essentially be making a bunch of insects, and these ones fly, so these ones I'm able to get through and perhaps kill somebody ahead of time compared to the snakes, which have to go around bodies. Next is the Council of 4. The Council of 4 is a 0/8. Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. And whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 White Knight creature token. A great way for me to get extra bodies because we're getting a bunch of cards drawn, and I'm getting extra cards. So I draw more cards than everybody else, and then I get bodies because everybody's got a bunch of spells to play. Next is Stuffy Doll. Stuffy Doll is one of my deterrents to try and keep the enemies at bay, to try and keep enemies away from me, and that is a 0/1 indestructible. As Stuffy Doll enters the battlefield, choose a player. I usually choose the one player that's hurting me the most or coming after me the most, and whenever Stuffy Doll is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. Sometimes I can make deals with other players to pump a creature up really, really strong and swing, so that way I can hurt or we can take out another player. And then the Stuffy Doll can also tap to deal 1 damage to itself, which will deal 1 damage to the other player. Next is Selvala, Explorer Returned. Selvala is a 2/4 that taps. Each player reveals the top card of their library. For each non-land card revealed this way, add 1 green mana and gain 1 life. Then each player draws a card. This is a great way for me to get a bunch of extra mana and life on my turn, but at the same time it gets everybody to draw an additional card. Next is Requiem Angel. Requiem Angel is an amazing card for tokens. Because essentially it says that it's a 5/5 flyer that says whenever another non-spirit creature, doesn't say non-token, whenever another non-spirit creature you control dies, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. That means that all those snakes that I have, or all those insects that I have, if someone board wipes and I have the Requiem Angel in play, I'm starting with an army of flyers that I can immediately take on the board or wipe everybody out with. And so yeah, it's a really cool, really powerful card for this deck, and I love it. Next is Orzhov Advocist, which says at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. If a player does, creatures that player controls can't attack you or planeswalkers you control until your next turn. It's another way to incentivize people to take bonuses from me to not swing at me. Doesn't always work, but when it does, it's nice, it's helpful. Usually they end up building up a big creature that they can hit me with later. But normally I've got a lot of bodies on play that unless it was a trampler, it's not that big of a problem for me, or if it's a flyer, it's not that big of a problem for me. Next is Nil's Discipline Enforcer, which is at the beginning of your end step, for each player, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature that player controls. And then each creature with 1 or more counters on it can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless its controller pays X, where X is the number of counters on that creature. Next is Mnemonic Wall. When Mnemonic Wall enters the battlefield, you may return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. I've got a couple of select instants and sorceries that I really, really like, and being able to do them again is a lot of fun. Next is Master of Ceremonies, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent chooses money, friends, or secrets. For each player who chooses money, you and that player create a treasure token. For each player who chooses friends, you and that player creates a 1/1 dude. For each player that chose secrets, you and that player each draw a card. This is another way for me to draw additional cards, get more mana, or get bodies. And so this is just a fun little thing, fun little addition to the deck that I like. Next is Loxodon Life Enchanter. I don't know if you've been keeping track of all the creatures we've been going through, but a lot of them have really big butts. And when Loxodon Life Enchanter enters the battlefield, you may have your life total become the total toughness of creatures you control, and he himself has a butt of 6. And then my commander's got a butt of 8, and then there's another card, that I showed you that had a butt of 8, and so a lot of my cards have big butts. And so this is just a great way for me to get a bunch of life back if people have been picking on me, or to switch my life totals if I've changed life totals with another person and I want to pump somebody else up. I can also pay 5 and a white. Loxodon Life Enchanter gets +X/+X till end of turn, where X is your life total. Has not come into play as much as other things because I haven't found a way. I didn't put in any way to give him flying, or to give him unblockable, or to give him trample, so not as big of a deal, except for the fact that I'm making a really big creature that needs to be blocked every turn, and so I can get rid of a creature every turn. Next is Laboratory Maniac. This is one of my win cons. If I would draw a card while my library has no cards in it, I win the game instead. He's one of the cards that I'll get back with Timeless Witness. Next is Quain, Itinerant Meddler. Tap, each player may draw a card, and then each player who drew a card this way gains 1 life. This is a little way to give a little bit of life and a little bit of card draw to the entire table. Next is Kami of the Crescent Moon. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card, so it's essentially a Howling Mine. It's even got the same mana cost, except it's 2 blue, which is kind of hard to do in a 4-color deck, but it's nice. I like it. Next is Humble Defector, which is just another Yes Man. You can tap it, draw 2 cards, target opponent gains control of Humble Defector, activate only during your turn. Again, I try to make deals with the people to make sure it comes back to me every turn, so that way I can get as much draw power out of it as possible. Next is a huge card. This is a huge deal card in this deck, and that is Horizon Chimera. Horizon Chimera is a 3/2 flash flying trample creature. Trample means nothing, flash is okay. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 1 life. The flash is really good because this means that on my turn, before I draw a bunch of cards from all my draw power, I can flash it in after the untap step and then draw a bunch of cards and gain a bunch of life. Huge deal to gain as much life as possible off of all those cards that you're drawing and keep you in the game much longer. If you got Wedding Ring out, you're also keeping someone else in the game much longer too. But that's fine. It's fine. Next is Heartwood Storyteller. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, each of that player's opponents may draw a card. This is a great way for me to get a bunch of draw power off of my opponents from them casting multiple spells, because they've got a bunch of cards in hand. They're going to be casting multiple spells. We're going to get multiple draws. Everyone's going to get multiple draws. I can make multiple dudes off of this. I can gain multiple life off of this, which is really great. It's a really good card. I like it. Next is Guafa Hazard Profiteer. This is another one of my deterrents. For a white and a blue and tap, put a bribery counter on target creature you don't control. Its controller gets to draw a card. Creatures with bribery counters on them can attack or block. It's a great way for me to shut down those flyers or those tramplers that are being a problem to me. Next is Guardian Seraph. Guardian Seraph is a 3/4 flyer. If a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you, prevent 1 of that damage. This is really good against damage decks that are like aristocrat decks or red pinger decks. This is really good against that. It stops all these little pings and stuff and all this little damage from coming through, or from other 1/1s from hitting me and stuff like that. It's a really good deterrent that way. Next is Glorious Protector. Glorious Protector is a 3/4 flash flying. When Glorious Protector enters the battlefield, you may exile any number of non-angel creatures you control until Glorious Protector leaves the battlefield, and I may foretell her for 2 and a white. She is a great card for protecting my battlefield from a board wipe, because I can flash her in, suck everything underneath her, except for tokens, and then have the board wipe go off, kill her, and then get everything back, and I can get a bunch of my pieces back on the board. Another way for me to protect my board like that is Garen Witherlight Hero, which is a 3/3 first striker that says, when Gerald Witherlight Hero dies, exile it and return to the battlefield all artifacts and creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. This is a great way for me to get my board back for having a little bit of defense in play. Next is Fogbank. Fogbank is a perfect defender. I put it in the deck specifically to be able to block a bunch of stuff. It's got Defender Flying, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by Fogbank. Great way for me to deal with certain problematic creatures. Fairy Mastermind, Flash Flying. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, you draw a card. I may pay 3 and a blue. Each player draws a card. Great way for me to get additional draw power off my opponents. Next is Eternal Witness, another way for me to get my win cons back. Whenever Eternal Witness enters the battlefield, you may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Next is Consecrated Sphinx, 4/6 flyer. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. Big thing about this, you may draw 2 cards is a huge deal to me, because this stops me from decking myself out too soon. But also, this is a really great way for me to drill through my deck by making everybody else draw cards. And last but not least on the creature list is the Brash Taunter, which, just like Stuffy Doll, is a great way for me to turn those problematic players that are swinging at me all the time into an advantage against them or other players. and that is a 1/1 indestructible. When Brash Taunter is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. May pay 2 and a red, tap, Brash Taunter, fights another target creature. Someone's building up a big creature, I can keep fighting it, keep doing a bunch of damage to somebody else. Granted, Stuffy Doll and Brash Taunter are ways for you to draw aggro in a game, which is what you don't want to do with the Hugs decks, but it's also a good way to protect yourself. Next is enchantments, and the first one we have is Well of Ideas. When Well of Ideas enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. At the beginning of your draw step, draw 2 additional cards. So this is a great way for me to draw more cards than everybody else is drawing cards. And speaking about drawing more cards than everybody else, next is Teferi's Ageless Insight. If you would draw a card except the first one you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. This is a great way for me to drill through my deck as fast as possible, find my win cons, and deck myself out. Next is Struggle for Project Purity. I only use it for one mode, but I'll read both off. As Struggle for Project Purity enters the battlefield, choose Brotherhood or Enclave. Brotherhood, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent draws a card. You may draw a card for each opponent that drew a card this way. This is the only reason why I use this card, but it also has Enclave. Whenever a player attacks you with one or more creatures, that player gets twice as many rad counters. That's not a big deal in my deck. I'm not doing rad counters, so bleh. This is purely for the Brotherhood, purely for the draw power. Everybody else draws, and then I draw 3 cards, which is a huge deal. Amazing card. I love it. And speaking about all this drawing, Smothering Tithe, which I now realize is marked as a game changer card because now those are a thing. I'm not following those rules anytime soon. I don't know if my group is going to ever follow those rules. So I apologize if you're looking for those rule sets when you're looking at these decks. I'm not following them, but most of the time I rarely have game changer cards. But anyway, Smothering Tide is whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. Great way for me to build up mana off of everybody drawing cards, so that way I can keep casting my spells over and over and over again. Next is Rites of Flourishing. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. Ramping and drawing cards, that's what I like to see. Propaganda. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you. It's a deterrent to keep you alive. Next is Noble Heritage. Commander creatures have when this creature enters the battlefield and at the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2+1/+1 counters on a creature they control. For each opponent who does, you gain protection from that player until your next turn. Great way to protect yourself. For players gain +1/+1 counters. Sometimes players take it, sometimes they don't. Next is Improbable Alliance. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 1/1 blue fairy creature token with flying. This is a great way for me to build up little flyers. I may pay 4, a blue and a red to draw a card and discard a card. Next is Ghostly Prison. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that is attacking you. A great way for you to get some deterrence, so that way people don't attack you. Next is Dictated Crewfix. Flash. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. It's essentially a 1 mana increase cost on a Hollowed Mine. And the next is Collective Restraint. I love this card so much. I swear, I told you guys in my last video, I swear I rose the price of this card on my own. I bought a bunch of them when they were just $3-4, and now they're $12 a piece. It's amazing. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays X for each creature attacking you, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. This is a 4-color deck. That means that this is a possibility of a pay 4 for each creature attacking you. This is an amazing card in this deck, and I love it. Next are instances. We have War Report. You gain life equal to the number of creatures on the battlefield plus the number of artifacts on the battlefield. As you can see, I got a bunch of token generators. This is a great way for me to gain a bunch of life. If people are also making a bunch of creatures are token generating, or people are playing artifact decks, this is a great way for me to gain a bunch of life in an instant. And as you can see, I have a mnemonic wall. I can get this spell back. Next is Semester's End. Exile any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers you control at the beginning of your end step. Return each of them to the battlefield under your owner's control. Each of them enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it if it's a creature, and an additional loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. This is a great way to protect my battlefield in case someone tries board wiping. Next is Encircling Fissure. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures target opponent controls, meaning that I could probably still destroy some of his stuff, but I could stop him or stop a player from killing another player or killing me. I can also awaken the spell 2 for 4 and a white. Next is Channel Harm. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and permanents you control this turn by sources you don't control. If damage is prevented this way, you may have Channel Harm deal that much damage to target creature. Great way for me to get rid of a problematic creature and prevent an entire swing on me or something like that. Next is Angel's Grace. Huge deal card in this deck. I love this card. Split second, meaning no spells can come after it. You can't lose the game this turn, and your opponents can't win the game this turn until the end of your turn. Damage that reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. This is a great way for me to stay in the game. With Demonic Wall, I can get it back. With the Witnesses, I can get it back. Next is Aether Spouts. For each attacking creature its owner puts on top or bottom of their library. This is a great little surprise that I do. A lot of people don't expect the Hug deck to protect itself as much as an Aether Spouts, or at least in my opinion, people don't expect my deck to protect itself as much as I have stuff like War Report and Aether Spouts in here. But yeah, great little way to protect yourself and also clean up the battlefield from being problematic. Lands, we have Windscarred Crag, which gains you a life, Thornwood Falls, which gains you a life, Temple Enlightenment, which lets you scry, Swiftwater Cliffs, which gains you a life, Sajuri Refuge, which gains you a life, Reliquary Tower, which gives you no maximum hand size, some plains, some mountains, Kazandra Refuge, which gains you a life, islands, forest, Exotic Orchard, and Evolving Wilds. Evolving Wilds, you may tap sacks for a basic land, and then Exotic Orchard adds 1 mana of any color that a land and opponent controls could produce, which, since I'm running 4 out of the 5 colors, chance has it it's going to fix my mana as well. And then next is Jace Beleren. Jace Beleren is each player draws a card. Oh, that's right, I didn't run the other Jace. I forgot. I said that I ran the Jace that makes this, that's a win con. I chose not to run it because it was 3 blue, which is hard for me to get 3 blue on the field. It's hard enough for me to get 2 blue on the field for a bunch of my spells that need 2 blue. I chose not to run the Jace that needed 3 blue for a win con. But I do run this Jace Beleren, which is each player draws a card for +2, -1 target player draws a card, and -10 target player mills 20 cards. I've never gotten close to that 10 before. People still don't trust a Planeswalker no matter what, even if it's in the hands of a Hugs deck. Next is sorceries. We have Tempt with Discovery, which is tempting offers search your library for a land card, put onto the battlefield, any land card. So I can get Reliquary Tower with this. Each opponent may search their library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield. For each opponent who searches their library this way for a land card and puts it onto the battlefield, then each player, for each person who does it this way, you search your library for an additional land card and put it onto the battlefield. Then each player who searches their library this way shuffles. So this is a good way for me to get 4 lands, like 4 dual lands or 3 dual lands and a Reliquary Tower to fix my mana and to fix my hand size. And then last but not least is Collective Voyage. Collective Voyage is join forces. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player searches his or her library for X basic land cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way, puts them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffles their library. This is a great way for me to speed the game up early game, because like I end up sitting here turn 3 with 2 additional mana. Everybody else has probably got maybe 1 or 2 mana untapped. I pay this out and we end up getting ourselves an additional 5 to 8 mana onto the battlefield immediately and speeds the game up drastically. So yeah, that is that is my Butt Buddies, my Hugs deck, and I have a lot of fun with this deck. I really do. And I hope that maybe this gave you guys some ideas for your own decks, or maybe you want to try this deck out. It is a lot of fun. It really is. And I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that I managed to keep the time low on this one. It looks like we are a half hour. That's way better than, I think it was like an hour and a half to almost 2 hours on the last Commander deck. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you want me to go back to taking longer on the cards and taking longer on the deck as my first one, let me know. Or if you like them fast like this one, let me know, and I'll try to, for now I'm going to try to keep them as fast as I can. Otherwise, I hope that you guys enjoyed the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed all the weird ideas that I had in here. And I hope you guys have been enjoying the videos that I've been making. I hope you guys maybe have been enjoying the live streams that I've been doing. Don't forget to check me out. I like to play games, so if you want to watch me play some video games mediocrely, go ahead and come see what I can do. Otherwise than that, I hope that you guys have a safe adventure. Good day.